All right, so you guys just watched the video on Khan Academy where he talked about probability, and he used an example that we're going to use a little bit also together, is rolling a standard number cube, a dice, because it's something we all understand and we've all done before. I'm actually going to go over a few vocabulary words from lesson 2 in the Unit 8 book. This is the red book that you guys picked up. And if you wanted to turn to that page in the lesson 2 summary, I believe this is right around page 13 in the book, and you wanted to jot down a few things or just have it to look at yourself, that would be fine. All right, so a few vocabulary words I want to go over. A chance experiment. A chance experiment is Mr. Khan rolling the dice, right? It's when we do something and we're not quite sure what the outcome is going to be. We might have an idea, but we don't know exactly what it is, and that's why it's called a chance experiment. It's when the outcome is unknown. Outcome. An outcome is something that will happen as a result of the experiment. So, an example, rolling a number cube, the outcome could be a 1, it could be a 2, could all the way up to a 6. Flip a coin. What are the possible outcomes? Outcomes are heads, tails, or maybe possibly landing on its side, which is very unlikely. And we'll talk about more of that down here when we talk about likelihood. And then an event is when there's more than one outcome. So, or it's a set of one or more outcomes. So basically an event is when you conduct the experiment, rolling a dice, flipping a coin, whatever you happen to do, that's called an event. All right, so let's talk a little bit about likelihoods. There's a couple ways that we can define or describe likelihoods. One is not using numbers, using just words. And for example, impossible. It is impossible, and all of these are going to be, we're going to say flip a coin. So we'll change it up from rolling a dice. When you flip a coin, what's the chances of you having that coin turn into a bottle of ketchup? It's impossible, right? It's not going to happen. Unlikely. It's unlikely that when you flip a coin, it's going to land directly on its edge. All right, that would be very unlikely. Equally likely as not is basically like a 50-50, right? When you flip a coin, you're equally likely as not as getting a tail or a head, right? They're both the same chances. Likely, you're going to get a head or a tail. Right? It's almost certain that it's going to happen, and certain the coin will land somewhere, right? We live on Earth. Earth has gravity. We know when we flip a coin, it's not going to just magically disappear into the ether or into space, right? It will land somewhere. All right, so this is likelihood using words, okay? And that'll show up later in some of the questions that you guys do in Google Forms. Just kind of keep that in mind. Another way that we can define or describe likelihood of something happening is using percentages or probability, okay? And probability, we can use percentages. That's probably the most common, right? When we get the weather report, I think what's Tuesday night, there's a 90% chance it's going to rain. Pretty likely that it's going to rain. So we use percentages a lot, most common, but you can also write it as a fraction. There's a 9 out of 10 chance it's going to rain Tuesday night. These mean the same thing, right? 90% or 9 out of 10. One that we don't see as much, but it's still something we need to keep in mind, is we can write that as a decimal as well. Okay, so you guys will get some practice in the next video on being able to kind of compare these three things. Decimal form, percentage, and also fraction form. Okay, thanks guys.